history with Jews. That is a fact. Is it Omar or Abu Bakr that put them back into Jerusalem? Um, there's this other guy, Salahuddin Ayyubi, the Almoravids in Morocco, the Ottomans especially.
Wait, but can we go back to what you said earlier? Because like now I'm confused. So you think that the Protestants, right? They were more enlightened and more democratic because of Judeo influence, and
Yes.
Orthodox Christians are more authoritarian because of the lack of Judeo influence.
Yes.
And you think the latter is better?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't even see how. Okay.
See, it's the issue with democracy. So when you say you can think however you like, you'll get a lot of geniuses. You'll also get a lot of stupid people. You'll get a lot of good ideas. Okay, that's why they had, Industrial Revolution and Enlightenment and these sort of things earlier. But then you'll also get a lot of bad ideas because you're valuing freedom of the individual. So the problem, I'd actually say, for every genius, I wouldn't say there's an idiot. I'd say for every genius, there are 10 idiots.
What's the problem with idiots?
Well, idiots are very likely to listen to bad ideas.
Just defending himself.
No, Jackson Jackson's not an idiot. But beyond there just being, okay, for every genius, there are 10 idiots. For every God-fearing person, there are 30,000 who would like to circumvent God. The Jewish worldview is a very susceptible paradigm. Because, like, sin is attractive. When we think of sin, it's like, oh, wrath, death, killing. No.
Jesus, they picked me literally real time.
What's this? Didn't you ask Matt a question? I mean, didn't you say that this happened with Matt, right? The individual, right?
Damn, I'm getting kicked from everything today, which is like awesome. Oh my gosh.
Odds, Victor. He kicked me off the stage.
Okay, go ahead, MJ.
Anyway, don't worry about that. We'll deal with him in due time. Yeah, MJ, or whoever. Yeah, you just believe the Father is God, Victor?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
MJ, why do you believe Jesus is God?
I mean, it's just all over. We have to go verse by verse, I guess, right?
What do you think is the strongest kick you right in the gonads? Jesus is God verse.
I mean, he's called Hotheos 20, 28 explicitly. It's not a figure of speech.
John 20, verse 20.
28.
Okay, hold on. Pull that up here.
Okay, Thomas. When Thomas
Yeah.
explained.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Okay.
What do you think about
First of all,
that, Victor?
you look at the context of what's happening there. And then, I did engineering, so a very high degree. And when we're trying to solve something, we always look at the conclusion. You say, okay, based on this, the structure of this is what is the result. So, when we now look at John, who is writing this, and we now go for a few verses down, you see John's conclusion about the whole thing. Okay, now irrespective of whether Thomas says an exclamation or his belief, John goes ahead to say, I think that's verse 31. And all this written, like these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, that believing you may have life in his name. So it would have been more preferable if he had said that because of this, we believe that Jesus is God. You see where I'm going with this? He said that his conclusion has basically no relation to what Thomas says at all. So, because we can't even get an explanation on whether he's calling Jesus God or he's making an exclamation. Every translation puts it as an exclamation. Some Greek scholars, of which I'm not, say it's an exclamation. Maybe because they don't believe that Jesus is God. Now, those who do believe that Jesus is God believe that Thomas, in this case, Andrew, it reminds me of those verses you quoted for me that says God and Savior. Remember those verses? And I'm saying that they're mentioning two different people.
Mm-hmm.
So we can still say that this verse is referring to two different people and not just one person. But what I'm going to base my argument on is that John's conclusion is that all this is written that we may believe that Jesus is the Son of God, not that we may believe that Jesus is God. That's it.
Dude, I'm multitasking so bad right now. I mean, the Greek is normally used this whole article before two nouns, referring to one person. But when two distinct persons are intended, writers insert clarifying phrases like 2 John 3. So in this context, it's a direct dative. I mean, Jesus' acceptance of the point is indicative of it being addressed to one person, not two descriptions. I mean,
Because he said it to him.
Michael Harris, Danny Wallace, Richard Bacham. Everybody has this view. Nobody holds this.
Nature is cruel.
I have a question for Victor. Forget the Gospel of John because this is really
the reason why we ingest carbohydrates is because it's good for the body, right? So we need fibers, we need this, we need that. Well, if the science changes and says, well, actually, based off these studies, there's a better way for human beings to live. We just eat meat, okay? And just eating meat would be beneficial. You get all your most it's nutrient dense. It's easier to digest. It doesn't cause as many problems. You don't have glucose spikes, etc., etc. The benefits are fucking just through the roof. Well, when you're evaluating, you have to say, okay, well, you know what? The facts that we had, because knowledge is contextual, right? So the facts that we had were this, and we moved in accordance to those facts. Well, the evaluations remains the same. If I want to be in good health, if I want to do this, I have to pursue X value. And now because the information has changed, and we have better.
Yeah, I think I understand. Yeah, so I understand.
Good nutrition, and then when you think that good nutrition is option A, you do that. But when that option changes to option B, you change to option B. But the principle of good nutrition is going to remove this.
But that's just a doctrine. That's not a value proposition. That's a doctrine.
No, it is. So you have to value good nutrition.
Caleb, have you ever seen
You have to value your life in order for you to say that.
Why do I have to value?
Have I ever seen what?
So what is the only way? What is the only way that my child eats is if I don't eat? What if that?
Hang on, Rabbi. I just wanted to make the point to Caleb. Like, Indiana Jones opens at school and he says, archaeology is interested. Hang on, dude. I'm using an example. He says, archaeology is interested in facts, not truth. If you want truth, go to the philosophy department.
Right.
The point here is, the reason I mentioned this is because when, Simon is not a well-trained philosopher. He thinks that, he fails to understand that what he says, facts and reality, that is not truth. Facts and reality is a matter of perspective of the person that is invoking the evidence. Okay? There's a difference, but you're not aware of that, and you use these words to mean other things, and you think you're winning because you fail to make the connection. And I'm telling you, it's because of your lack of the English language. You're not good at semantics.
He is in English language speaking. He was born in
But it tells you
Canada.
that you lose even when you win, Simon.
He was born in Canada. What are you talking about?
I know, but he doesn't have a dominance of it.
Simon, I don't think. I want to return to this idea. I think you're just naming axioms and doctrines as opposed to some kind of evaluation of value, right? Because as we've said, those are the stating the value proposition is a contextual exercise.
Well, I mean, the concept of value only arises if you're alive. So the whole point of saying something is a value means that in order for someone to value something, you have to be alive. So I'm just stating the most fundamental things for a human being is in order for you to live as a human being, you have to value something. Otherwise, you can't value and you're dead. So I think in order for you to live as a human being, you have to pursue and identify what those things would be.
Can you answer
Right, but Simon, the fact that you make it about human.
1 second, Caleb, 1 second.
Sorry.
What if I have
We're skipping steps right now.
What if I have to die to sustain my child's life? What if that?
If you hold your child's life as a higher value than your own, that's fine.
But that's not the
But
standard.
then you fail with your
No, because again, it's not my life at the expense of anything else. That's not the moral standard. The moral standard is again, this is a meta-ethical question as opposed to a moral question. You can't separate the two. When you say,
Take it a step at a time, for God's sake.
you're so lucky this guy delayed by like 30 seconds.
You literally said, if you value your child's life more than yours, then there's nothing wrong with that. But that is subjective, dude.
I don't know how that's subjective.
But
Okay,
because my God, if I value my kid more than myself, then what if I don't?
Okay,
What somebody is saying is that without the capability of living, there is nothing else. Therefore, you need to prioritize your life so that you can make values. Now, okay, we get that, but that doesn't mean that your life is valuable over everything. Because what Randy is saying, and he's right, is that if you, in order to be alive, in order to keep making those decisions, but at one point, you value more the life of your children because you have to give up your life so that they can live. In that moment, you don't give a shit about anymore making
What you have to understand, Isabel, is the Ayn Rand.
But human beings live off a hierarchy of values. I don't understand this.
What I'm telling you is, with this paradigm, you're put in this situation where you either have a moral compass that tells you should sacrifice your children for your own life, or you end up in a situation where your life is not the standard. Which one do you choose?
Correct.
Again, human beings live off a hierarchy of values.
But let's add to that.
What you-
Let's add to that. Hold on 1 second. Let's add to that question, right? You're centering the human. Do you believe that absent humans,
there is some kind of moral landscape that exists without humans? Because if you do, if you don't think that there's something like that exists absent humans, then you're a subjectivist.
Yes.
Well, subjectivists go evaluate. No, but again, subjectivists base their judgments off strictly emotions and feelings.
No,
Divorce.
that's not
Oh my
true.
god. Oh my god.
It's not emotions.
If we can't,
Okay,
that is what subjectivism is predicated on.
Are you telling me that when you go to a store and buy a Coke, you're being emotional?
No, he's saying he does like a robot. He buys a Coke like a robot. That's what he's saying.
No, oh my god.
All the subjectivity valuation is made on utility that you have for a specific object in a specific
No, if we can't agree on subjectivism and
that has nothing to do with emotions.
Well, in all fairness, in his defense, I don't think he's a total subjectivist. He is objective, but given a
He's
subjective
subjectively
standard.
wrong.
But he is objective, but given a subjective standard. That's
right. That's right.
I don't know how life is a subjective standard when
But you're not getting.
either you're alive or you're dead. I literally don't get that. It's crazy. You're saying based off my again, if we can't agree on subjectivism and
You cannot agree. We all agree. The only one that doesn't agree.
but you're all wrong. Yeah, you're all wrong.
That's all wrong. No.
Yeah, you're all wrong.
Should I choose my child's life over mine, or should I choose mine? Regardless which I choose, I'm choosing. Therefore, it is a subjective thing. You could get
That's not what again. Just because you're choosing doesn't make it subjective. That's
Yes.
it is a subjective choice.
no, it isn't. That's not what subjective means. That's not what
Choosing
subjective
means subjectivity. Choosing implies subjectivity.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. And again, if you're gonna say that, then everybody. So you saying that God is alive is subjective, or God exists is subjective.
No, that's
The
not fact.
moment that you say it, what does that have to do with
The
anything?
moment
You
that
said
you
the moment
pass
you choose
through
something
something.
means
Yeah,
subjective.
choosing means acting, right? Right?
Choosing
Acting
means
is choosing, right? Because you could be talking to us or doing something else. You're choosing to be with us, so you're valuing our conversation over the other thing you could be doing.
Exactly. Some other guy might not do that. That's subjective.
Exactly.
There's no objective reason for why you're talking to us
I literally
over
don't know how that's
doing something else.
subjective is to divorce again. Go
That's why I asked
read
you about
René
the
Descartes.
The
Go read René Descartes. Learn what subjectivism is. Okay, go read what it is.
Appeal
Then
to
you can tell
authority.
me that's not an appeal to authority. If you have no information on what you're talking about, that's not an appeal to authority. Either you're right or you're wrong. And I'm saying what you don't understand, what you're appealing to is absolutely nothing because you don't know what you're talking about.
No.
You're just saying subjective is right.
Randy said it correct.
Why do you believe in the market? Because when there's
Randy said it correctly.
Hold on a second. My God, when there's
Give you a compliment.
when
Yeah, stop, Randy.
well, I just want to say one thing. I don't know who's talking, man. I just want to say one thing. Why do you believe in the market, Simon? If there's a trade, that means the buyer values the object more than the seller, proving to you that value itself is subjective. Like, why do you believe in trade?
He doesn't agree with
There's
that.
an objective way to value it.
Because trade is the only because force on the mind is
Force on is not. If there's no trade, you both value it the same.
if there's no trade. What do you mean? You just asked me why do I
Because if
believe
I-
in markets?
okay,
I believe in markets
let me
because
give you an
based off
example.
human nature, human beings have to
Yeah,
be.
maybe let me give you an example. I value the bottle. I value the bottle
Exactly.
of
Make
water.
choices. Subjectivity.
I value the water bottle to be $6. You value it to be $10. That's why I sell it to you.
That's literally proven. When you see the bids and asks, you literally
That
see
is not
that
the
people
same
are
as what we're
valuing a
talking
different,
about.
different
That
trading
is not the same
ratios.
as what we're talking
Yes, it
about.
is.
You're making a
It's
epistemological claim. No, you're making an epistemological objective based off objective facts of reality, and you're saying because I can choose something, that inherently makes it subjective. And I'm saying that is not what objective or subjective is.
Wait, Simon, your analysis Your analysis isn't quite right? What Randy said before, I think, is uncontroversial, right? That the what you're calling the standard is selected for. Once you have that standard, everything else you can say could be objective relative to that standard.
Exactly.
But the selection of the standard itself is just that, selected for.
Exactly.
Wait, Brandon, that's true, but markets can be completely objective. They aren't always, but they can be. We can both have the exact, I'll tell you how, we can both have the exact same ideology that you should buy stocks throughout your life and sell them when you get to the age of 65. I will be selling to people younger than me. The people younger than me will be buying because we're in a different life situation. We could, and that was just one short example. We could have multiple examples where we both think the exact right price for this. But that's just hypothetical. That can't be ever proven.
No, it's not hypothetical.
No.
But it's based on the same concept. That is, he's
That's
all.
it. What do you mean?
Now, to make
But
what's
that's not subjective. It's completely objective.
Your
We
preference
both
is
agree
subjective.
that a bottle of water is $5, but I already have 15 in my car, so I don't need more water. You want another bottle of water. We both agree on the price. You can have complete. Now, this is not life. This is like
Yeah, but it is still not objective. I mean,
yeah,
it just
completely
is
objective.
No, but let's
Let's get past colleagues whether that's true. We subjectively choose a system. Once we're in that system, we can buy and sell from each other and completely objective.
Okay, but you have to just understand. Here's the issue that we can't communicate to Simon. What you just said, the logic of your hypothesis is absolutely objectively true. However, to prove it to him using empirical evidence is impossible, and he doesn't believe that there are truths outside of anything he can measure. So you can't.
No, but that's irrelevant because he has the full.
Well, how can it be a truth? How can you say something is of a truth value if you can't measure it, if you can't identify it?
Because you don't measure axioms.
No, what the
Well, an axiom by definition is self-evident. If I can't see
No,
it, how is it
yes, but
self-evident?
it's self-evident, but it's also selective. No, I think you're
An
right.
axiom is self-evident. It has to be.
choose
That's what it is.
selectively. He can choose to accept it as objective. So you're bringing up markets and all those things does not disprove his theory. Now you could say he has failed to prove his theory, but so have you. Now you're an impasse. But what Khalid said is absolutely true. There are selections to start the process, but after that you can stay within objectivity.
No, I think you failed to do that because in the markets we know the price does not reflect the value.
We're not talking about the same.
Wait, okay, but I know we're not talking about this. What I'm trying to clarify to you guys is that selection
in reality, the market.
What you're saying about selection.
Trump's tariffs, but no, should have announced something.
He's coming from an argument where there is an objective way to evaluate things. If that's the case, everyone would price things the same way.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So Mayor, we know logic dictates, right, that a selection of a standard must occur. That is undeniably true, but it's not a measurable truth. It's one that follows from a logical proposition in the premises, right? However, one cannot determine how that standard was selected, because if they could, then psychologists could just beat the market, right? Because they would know how people are going to act before they do it.
No, well, first of all,
that's not how that works.
No, because you have hive mind. No, first of all, Diego, that's not true. You can't prove. And Randy did just prove, and I agree to that. I'm saying I think the markets can't theoretically be objective. This is the 90s argument over objective of efficient market theory. Now, efficient market theory has a lot of truth to it in the broad scale. But on a day-to-day basis, it's impossible to say that the market truly went down. What was it, 15%? And then the next day it truly went up like that. So, and you're right.
That's your measurement. If it went down, you measured it. It went down. If it went up, you measured it. It went up. It's a historical fact that we can agree on.
If a stock is worth the present value of all future dividends, which is the objective worth of a stock, that means that you have to have believed that the future dividends of this stock drop by 50%.
Future is an uncertain thing. We don't know what the future is.
That's not the complication. Let's strip it down. There's no dividends in the stock. Okay,
then it has no objective value. Because then it's just then you're just finding a bigger stock.
Good.
Exactly.
Commodities don't have objective value.
Yes, they do.
Correct.
Yes,
No, they don't.
That's
the whole point value.
There's
The whole point of commodities.
That's the whole point.
It's subjective by definition.
Of course they have objective value.
No,
Petroleum is what you
Mayor,
utilize.
no, Mayor.
Subjective, yeah.
No, but Mayor, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Someone is making a subjective valuation of a stock now based on uncertain future conditions that have yet to come about.
So there's no measurement in the future thing.
Of course,
But they're making a decision now. They're selecting now.
There's not a measurement. There's a speculation. No,
It's a speculation. That's the whole point.
I
Meyer,
understand,
you
but
can
there's
only
a 3%
measure
chance of
value
this happening, and 90% this is happening. You take all
Yeah,
those
but
numbers,
Meyer,
add
you
together,
can
you're
only
gonna check it
value
out.
things in the now because that is when you are giving them the utility.
Of
You
course.
can speculate about its value in the future, but
Of
the
course.
actual value, the value activity happens in the now. How
But
it's
that doesn't
measured
mean
now.
you're
I
saying,
think what you're trying to tell you is that there is an objective value given a
Correct.
subjective valuation method.
Correct.
That,
There is.
no, okay, yeah, but then in the end it boils down to the whole thing being subjective since the method itself is subjective. Yes,
Correct.
okay, you reach the value objectively given a subjective
Not
method.
really. What you said before was much more salient. If people were robots and we would all work on robots.
But we're not.
Okay, so that's the answer. The answer is that if you look at the erratic moves of the market, that you are not following this fantasy world that I just set up.
Exactly.
But there is a
Correct, but that's the
possibility of
point.
markets being objective.
But
No,
that
because
is the point, and
but
that
you're
is the
missing
reason
the-
why
you're missing the
macroeconomics.
difference.
That's the reason why all these macroeconomic engineering of the economists and trying to engineer social activity and market activity.
You're going in the wrong
impossible.
direction.
It's
You're
impossible
going in the
because
you're
the
going in the wrong
market, some of the market decisions are never being able to be centralized. Everything lies in the decisions that every individual is making in every second of their lives, depending on everything that's happening in their context in that moment and the utility that they're going to
Correct.
find into that
It's
exchange.
not
So
impossible to
you
object
cannot
one side.
you cannot predict because if that
You're
was
going
not
in the
the
wrong
case,
direction, Lisa.
if markets were objective, then as Diego says, everyone that knows how to hack. Hold on. If markets were objective, everyone that knows how to hack the human mind would be making shitloads of money.
They
Like
do.
all the psychiatrists and all the psychologists would be able to predict
They
what's going to
do.
happen in markets.
And one second. First of all, you are making a socialist argument right now because you're saying that the reason why the markets are erratic and the reason why people could make money is because they're hacking people's minds. And
No, I am saying the opposite. I'm
You
saying
are.
that if
You are.
markets
You don't
were
realize you are.
I
You're
am
making a
making
socialist
completely
argument.
the opposite, Meyer. I'm making completely the opposite argument. I'm saying that if markets were objective, then somebody could hack into people's mind and
Correct.
predict what's going to happen in the markets, and nobody can because
Yes,
every
they
decision
can.
made in the markets are
Okay.
subjective.
Okay, the reason why people can, not any person can, is because as soon as the news comes out, there's a bunch of other people that
No, it's not because
Yes,
of that.
it is.
It's
Okay.
microeconomics the ones driving the market.
No, I disagree with that. I think
No,
if
the
the markets
reason
are
why
objective,
you
there's no room
can't-
for profits.
Well, there's still room for profits. That's not true.
How so?
There's no room for speculation. There's room for profits because if Moderna vaccines are going to sell to 10 million doses in the next 5 years, then if I invest in it,
But I think we're deviating a lot from the subject. We're talking here about objectivity and subjectivity, and what we're saying is that a value is subjective in itself.
No, it's
You know,
not.
by
Yes, it is.
definition, value implies subjectivity. So
No,
there's
no,
nothing
it
that you
doesn't.
can say
It's
that it
not
has
true.
objective value. It
Okay.
doesn't exist.
Okay, so value is completely objective. Markets
It's
are
subjective.
You keep saying that, but you're not. Markets are completely objective. Prices are completely objective. If we were
No, let's
robots,
talk about
Okay.
value.
if we were robots, we would get the objective value of every item on this
But we're
list.
not robots.
No, hold on. The markets is not a good example. It's not a good example.
Just take the epistemological claim. Just
Let's go back to the
what is
abstract.
objective and subjective? Yes. Just
Hold
take
on, let's go back to the abstract. Right, so
What is subjective?
values are formed and articulated based on circumstance, culture, geography, language, these kinds of things.
Just preferences, yeah.
Once they are selected for, they become objective and axiomatic, and therefore what flows from that we could call objective relative to the already selected for.
I disagree with that. You can
No. Back up.
Okay. Let's say
Back up
that.
on that.
Wait, can I just give this example?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna make a distinction between objective and subjective. Okay. And when I say something is objective, it means that something conscious has to identify, okay, and look out into the world and and integrate the facts of the thing that I'm seeing of the object in reality. That's what I mean by objective, as opposed to subjective.
That's an interpretive
Object versus subject, aka material world of stuff,
As opposed
and subject, aka the
subjective being
English
that regardless
101.
of the facts that are out in reality, and forget about integrating those facts. Subjective would just simply
Is this a
be,
comedy show?
well, regardless of what those facts are, I'm gonna think about what those things are, independent of reality itself. So, and then the concrete example I'll give you, hold on. And the concrete example I'll give you is the whole trans argument, where people say it's a biological fact
Or just
that women
non-native
are
English
women
speakers
because of the
learning word
XY
definitions.
chromosome or the XX chromosome, whatever the fuck it is,
Is
and
this a
then
comedy
men
show?
are men because of the XY. And now, as opposed to the people who say, I'm not complicating it. I'm simply just saying there's people who actually believe that women
Is this
can
a
be
comedy
men
show?
based
It's just
off of
non-native
their
English
subjective
speakers learning
opinion
word
about
definitions.
reality, and they
Or
will
is-
force the concepts,
or has-
the facts of reality, and fail to
Or has
integrate
no one
those
ever
facts
learned
in
anything?
their mind. And we say, oh well,
I don't
that's
think that
just.
has anything to do with
Yeah, but what about other facts? What about other facts? What led you to choose those facts over other
Well, that's what subjectivism is. That's exactly
And that's what you're describing.
Before we go down this rabbit hole, let's go back to commodity.
Because no one ever learned anything on this social app, and this is just entertainment and comedy.
Okay, you can use them in industrial. You use it as the hardest object on earth. They use them to line different soils. They have an objective value. Now that value is not that high, but there is an objective value.
They have objective functions. They don't have objective values.
Okay. That
That's
objective,
not an objective value. That's an intrinsic use value.
that
Correct.
objective
There's no such
function.
thing as
Oh
intrinsic.
my God.
Yeah, there's no
That
intrinsic
objective
value.
function.
There's a defined function. Yeah.
That objective function can be translated to a value because if I
Yeah.
have
No.
It's still
Wow.
supply and demand.
Okay.
Oh
It's
my
still
God.
supply
That's
and
supply and
Here.
demand. If I have if I have this manufacturing tool, I can manufacture my widgets better than you. There's a value to that. There's an intrinsic and objective value.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry.
you're valuing
Now,
that depending
true.
on what you're gonna do with those diamonds or
Of
with
course, but there is a value of what can be done with those
I
diamonds.
agree with that.
Right.
I mean, that there
Now there's step two. Step two is
no one's ever sold
Yeah.
anything to low market price.
Yes, but I want a diamond on my
Oh,
finger.
let-
and
let-
I
let
have
them
a
keep
different
going. Let them
value
keep
than
going.
the
Listen,
diamond
I'm
on your
getting
finger.
there.
let's keep going. I agree with
Step
the first step. What's the
Step number two is there's a subjective value thrown in there because humans have decided that diamonds are the things that you put on your girlfriend's finger or your wife's finger, and that became a subjective value. If
Right.
South Africa found diamonds and it became not so rare anymore, they spent plenty of money on marketing and convincing us that it's important. When labs make diamonds, they convince us that natural diamonds, because children have to die for our diamonds, are more important.
I think
So that's
I would disagree with that.
completely subjective.
If it is subjective in the end, so I agree with that. I agree with everything you said except for one thing. It seems like where we disagree is you say that there's objective value. I think what you mean or what I would believe is that objectively there is a value, but the value is not objective. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if there's a difference because at the end there's a
huge
it's objectively right. But one second, we can get back to that in a second. That could be interesting. But then Cullen comes back into being correct that once we decided that diamonds have this human interplay and I can sell them in 30 years, blah blah blah, you could go back to being objective. But markets start off objectively.
No, it's
So
not.
subjective throws into that, and then you could say that after
Markets
all these
never start objectively.
No, they start
Market-
subjectively if
A
anything.
market requires an exchange, right? A voluntary
Yes.
exchange. And you're never going to exchange a diamond by another exact diamond. You're going to exchange a diamond for strawberries or mangoes or a car or an elephant. So
which have the
Okay.
same
no,
objective
I am
value.
no. So
No.
the diamond I
They
have,
objectively have a value, but they don't
One
have
second,
an
if we
objective
were
value.
robots,
we can
we
agree
would
that
say that every
objectively
calorie
they are.
costs.
Yeah, I gotta go
We
into
can
meeting.
agree that objectively they are valuable, but I cannot say how valuable they are. How valuable they are.
Sure it
objectively.
can.
Say his
No,
name.
can.
I have the diamond.
Alan
No,
I
Wilson.
have the diamond.
One second,
And I have
I get it. Let's say I'm a robot.
Listen, Meyer. I have a diamond. Randy has a bottle of water. We're both in desert. You are in the desert. You're super thirsty. You have a machine that requires a diamond to work, but at the same time you don't have any fucking water, right?
completely objective.
No,
That example is
Randy
completely objective.
Okay, here's the better example of what she's trying to say.
Randy who has the bottle of water, or Isa who has the diamond, even if you possess a machine that requires a diamond to work. In that moment, you're going to value more the water than the diamond. So
Because
you
the
cannot
water is
claim
more
that,
valuable.
the value
You
you attribute
which is
is
subjective.
subjective. You
Okay,
can't.
McDonald's Happy
Lisa,
Meal costs like
what you
$10.
just said is,
Listen, a McDonald's Happy Meal costs $10, but if you're on a fucking long haul flight that's delayed, and like maybe your kids are going fucking crazy, maybe you pay $50 for it. It's subjective.
it's not.
It is subjective.
Okay.
And also, whether or not we use the diamond example, maybe I feel the exact same size diamond as Isa, but Isa's has more imperfections, right? So it's all subjective. And maybe someone cares
The
what his
reason
imperfections, someone
the
doesn't.
reason why you're wrong is because you're forgetting.
What Randy stated is correct. It is objective that there is a price, but the price is
Just tell me when
subjective.
you're done. Okay. Okay. You profoundly said nothing. The reason why you're wrong is because you're forgetting the law of diminishing returns. 1 cup of water is worth $1 million. The reason why water
The
today
first
costs.
sip of water, yeah, and then the
Yes.
rest.
So if you're in a desert, that cup of water is worth $1 million.
How many diamonds is it worth to a housewife? Right? There's how many engagement rings does she need?
Her 1 cup of water, all of them. So give away all of your losers.
Okay, but that's assuming we only have 1 cup of water.
Correct. That was Isa's case. You're in a
No,
desert.
but see, I would even disagree with that because if there's only 1 cup of water, you're gonna die anyways. If it's always like,
I understand
Yeah,
that
but
people will
it's
delay it
just
by
about
a day.
history.
But the point is,
Yeah.
it's completely objective. If you're stuck on a long haul flight, but the only calories you can get is from a McDonald's Happy Meal, that meal is worth 5 times the amount that you could buy at McDonald's.
Incorrect.
Because
There are people that go on hunger strike. Like this is not objective, right? There are people that will happily die willingly, not.
Oh well, but they were using too many.
That is subjective. And
That's the point. It's value is subjective. You're like fucking Simon in reverse. You don't even know what's subjective.
Like that's why we go back to the markets. How can we establish a trade? Like I the seller, must value it less than
we
you
can
the buyer.
establish a trade. If we were robots, we can say that every calorie.
We are not robots, and that's the whole point about defining subjectivity.
Subject, but
I understand that that's how you build economical models. Is by you
No,
understand.
No, you don't.
Okay.
that's not how we build it. It's
But mind you, the whole point is that you are requiring.
My God, if I, the seller, don't value it less than you, the buyer, they will not be traded.
That's not true. We can.
Yeah,
Meyer, you are requiring.
It's not true, Randy. That is totally not true.
Meyer, I have a glass of water. I value it at $10. You value it at $6.
It's not true. You have a glass of water. I value it $10. You value it $10.
No, that's not my question. I value it at 10. You value it at 6. Why would I sell it to you?
Then I would have told you, but you asked me how can markets work if we all value things exactly objectively.
No, you missed my point, man. What I'm telling you is that's can we agree to this? Okay, we need a common ground, man. The seller has to value it less than the buyer.
Or even.
Or even when he has no real reason to sell it then, but that's
Yes,
fine.
he does. Yes, he does. That's my point.
And
Yes,
this
he
is
does.
something.
The seller values less what they.
The seller, when you buy 10 watermelon for $1 a piece, that's $10 for 10 watermelon. But if I only offer you $8 and my watermelon are worth $10, I sell you my watermelon because that would be a $2 loss to my sales quota.
There won't be a price discovery.
Randy, we agree in reality markets have subjectivity in it. And we also agree that our original evaluation system, like my example with diamonds, have subjectivity in it. My point is you can't conceive of a theoretical model of objective value.
Well, the difference between theory and practice.
I can think of one where there is objective, but it's not realistic though.
So you're conceding what you're saying is wrong, and that in reality,
No, I'm
it is
conceding that you
subjective.
didn't understand.
No, this is an amazing
But
fact.
Meyer,
He literally
the
just
whole point
admitted that
here
we're
is
right.
Meyer, the whole point here is to try to demonstrate to Simon that value, like actual value, is based on such subjectivity, not on
Okay,
objectivity.
so the
And you
reason
hold on.
why-
You need to bring robots into the equation in order to make all of it the same, but that's exactly the point. The point is that human beings, that the human mind, that the human necessity is not predictable, and therefore there is no objectivity when it comes
But
to
now I
valuing
understand.
things.
The reason
And
why
that
I
is
had
the
to
point.
go here, the reason why I had to go here is because your examples that you were giving to Simon, the reason why it wasn't landing, well maybe it won't land anyway, I don't know, is
because they weren't true examples, because there is objective
No, they weren't
value.
true.
The way to show him that it's not true is to show him in reality life doesn't work that way. So you can have a very nice bundled Ayn Rand theory of libertarianism. It doesn't work in reality, and that's what I'm trying to get to.
Even forget reality, even theoretically has issues, and that's kind of what I try to tackle. But I now understand what you were trying to say when I said, okay, so that's why you think that if people value something objectively, there will be trade. Okay, if I value the bottle at $10, you value it at $10. Let's say I give it, correct, I might give it to you for $10, fine. But if that's the case, then trade will only happen, let's say, when people value things identically. Let's say they cannot, because if there's an objective value, objectively there is a value. However, if there's an objective value, which is a different thing, then these values would all be the same. I cannot
And
value
there would be
$50.
no marketing.
Exactly.
So
then the
marketing
price
would be educational.
In other words,
Everything would be a commodity.
in other words, the price will be equal to the value. So there's no
Yeah, everything would be a commodity. There would be zero elasticity. There would be zero elasticity in everything.
How is there speculation if the price is objective?
So you said that there will be no speculation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's
no speculation. Correct.
Right. So if you want to prove that life is not objective, it's speculation that does it, not the inherent idea that there are markets.
Right, but Simon doesn't believe in that. So Simon believes.
I was trying to get
your
it
life
there,
is
but
then.
Listen, I might be wrong about this. I'll concede in a minute. I think the reason he wasn't getting it is because you were trying to tell him that there's no such thing as objective value, and he was saying, no, there can be, and there is. Once you show him that in reality there is speculation and markets actually change day to day. Okay.
There is no objective value.
What it seems like you're not getting is the difference between these two statements. There is objectively a value versus there is an objective value.
No, there
No,
is
I get that.
objectively
I just
something
think-
can be valuable, but it doesn't mean
No, I
that
get your difference. I just think, and this is what I told you on roommate a little more, I think that if we were complete robots and we had like AI level just analysis, you can get to an objective value. Now, it's extremely difficult to do in reality because we have all our subjective preconceived notions of what things are.
Well, you're assuming
Like,
humans
that's
would be
how-
But it's not even about preconceived notions. It's about utility in the moment.
He's taking it on the theoretical facts. He's giving you a hypothesis. Assuming we are robots.
He's arguing I'm right if the world was this way, then I think that it could be, but actually the reality is something very different.
Follow the conversation before you chime in.
Nice. It's pretty clear that
No.
they are right, and what you're saying is nonsense. You're wishing the world to be a way that it is not.
The two sides of this conversation.
You're not arguing. You're wishing the world to be a way
Okay,
that
does anyone else that can't track the conversation want to chime in?
I'm tracking you. I'm there with you.
You are, but clearly this guy is.
Really, because I agree with him. He agrees with me.
Oh my God, Tim.
Yes, in reality, I do believe that value is subjective. I think objectively there is a value. I think objectively everything has a value since someone values it. Therefore, objectively it has a value to someone. But the value itself must be subjective. That is my.
I wonder if we could say art has no value, but that's a little deep rabbit hole.
What if?
Art.
Art has a value, but objectively
Well,
it does have
to
value.
No,
whoever
but in this
appreciates it.
theoretical world, that all value is only utility. Right, but that's.
Oh no, I thought
Maybe the utility is a
Good
tax
night.
write-off.
But the utility can be making your wall look pretty. I mean, like,
But that's utilitarian.
Or the utility can be the longer money.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
a
that's
utilitarianist.
you're right, Isa, but that gets to before we start this conversation, we have to have subjective ideas that humans want them pretty well.
So what utility do you have out of just storing a bar of gold? I mean, I'm not a utilitarian. I don't think it's just.
Gold has a lot of industrial value.
No, I'm not. I'm saying just storing it. That's it.
So I could use it for later. Because if it was like lying
No,
around.
never using it. Never using
I
it.
don't get this.
No, there's no value.
Because something has industrial value, therefore it has
No, there is value.
There are different industries which is more valuable too, right? Gold is used in a heat
Well,
shield
that's the first
environment.
accurate thing you said.
Amazing.
I don't understand this.
If there was no
Oh,
value,
You try to use this line of statement as if industrial equals objective, but yet it's using electronics, which will be more high value, and they would be willing to pay more for it, for example, than somewhere that uses it like a heat shield, where it literally just sits there and does nothing.
Utilize it more. That just.
Right, so it's subjective within industries. They will.
Okay,
but no, objectively you can utilize it more. How much do you value that additional use? So that is subjective.
Precisely.
It can be subjective. It can also not be theoretical.
No, it has to be. It has to be as long as you value. So okay, how about this? Okay, let's go back
That's
to
where we
the
disagree. It
discussion.
doesn't have to be.
Let's go back to the early discussion with Simon. Simon believes in an objective truth given a subjective standard, and he doesn't see that that standard is subjective. He says your life is the standard. He cannot answer this question, which is, okay, if the only way my child can live is if I die, then with Simon's worldview, you end up with two options. Either you believe that it's moral for you to kill off your son so that you may live because your life is the standard, or the standard is not your life. He cannot answer that question. Well,
because it's subjective.
Yes, it is subjective, but that's what he doesn't understand.
No, I agree with that. I just don't agree that you can prove that from the fact that there are markets. You can prove that from the way markets behave.
By the fact that he cannot answer it. Because do you think it's moral that you kill your son so that you may live? He doesn't say yes.
No, I think it. Well, you asking me or you're asking?
No. I know you would say no. Everyone would say no. He would say no, but he believes that it's a yes at the same time.
Ironically, I believe there are objective morals, and he doesn't.
I know, but he claims he does.
No, we don't believe that there are objective morals.
Hi, excuse me, moderators. Moderators, I haven't said it.
No.
I haven't said anything yet today. Just let me say that when you're ready, in Grok, I created a prompt. Give me a poem about subjectivity versus objectivity.
It doesn't matter. We don't care right now.
Then this conversation is it's all subjective. This conversation's not even objective. There's no objective here. Why don't you take a watermelon? Kick me. Oh my gosh. This is so stupid. That's it. There's like no. This one's called Catholic Answers.
I believe on me shall never thirst. There's a prerequisite there. You got to believe on him.
Well, I agree. Well, so my question is, those participles that are used there, are they equivalent statements? When you come to them, that's believing. You believe them, that's coming to them.
And I want to say that because I don't want to confuse anyone. Because consumer residential loans are quite different than residential commercial loans, such as investment properties, fix and flips.
Did you just hear what this guy said?
That is very fucking embarrassing. When you're outside, it is assumed that your household is taken care of. And if ever one of your friends or a man you're going to go on a date with says, you know what, can I stop and use the bathroom inside? You got to make sure that you lift it up the toilet seat and clean that part of the toilet too. That there's no toilet or shit stains underneath that part. And
gotta know where them shit stains be. If you don't know the secret spots for those shit stains.
I don't know if y'all ever did that. You clean the bowl and then you leave the studs. And then when that man goes and pees in there, he feel like he peeing in some type of hotel. It smells good.
Piss hotel.
You're clean. Everything's clean. And then you could go outside. Please stop going outside and going to the hair salon and all your clothes are all over the place. I think women also need to learn, Raquel, how to fold their shirts, how to fold a man's shirts. They shouldn't look like they are on display, like with the collar facing up. That's what they should look like when you fold clothes. They should also know how to separate clothes before they dry them and when to put fabric softener in the washer machine. Yeah. Also, my last point, when you do food shopping, I think you should also learn not to put the packs of meat in the freezer. Before you put the meat away, you buy different size Ziploc bags. You clean and marinate all your meat. You season it, and then you put them in the Ziploc bag, and then you clean it. Yeah. So those are a few things.
But we live in reality.
I understand.
No, Clubhouse is not reality. Clubhouse isn't reality. This is just a conversation about stupid people that don't know subjectivity versus objectivity. Oh man, roast the ball. Roast the ball.
My claim.
No.
Listen, I'm trying to
How
argue.
would
I
you
make
test the
a-
consistency of your claim with a single antidote?
Thank God they're kicking me from every chillism room.
So
Jesus is not the word because he was not there in the beginning?
Jesus was so where was Jesus created at? Like where was he at?
Just answer that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just working at the same time.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going, Doge?
I am good. I came to witness an anti-Semite getting kicked.
Are you an anti-Semite?
No, I love Jews. They're the coolest people. 100%. Shabbos is my favorite event of the week. I want to get married one day, and I love how Jews love marriage. So I want to be. I am a patrilineal. What was that, Danny? Couldn't hear you, Danny.
You say something. What's up, Danny?
I said that's my favorite clown on Clown House.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, don't worry, Doge. I've kicked a couple people, so you'll be able to see some more kicks.
Okay, well, I got a lot of Jew haters that I am acquaintances here with, and I will invite them now, and we will witness them getting kicked.
Okay, you call them out, and they'll be gone. How does that sound?
Let me invite all of the worst offenders of stupidity here on this app.
Are you just friends with them just so that
I just add everybody.
Is this one?
Let's see. Oh,
Dr. Mustache.
we may have our first contestant. Welcome, Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mustache.
Oh, Dr.
Oh, you want them
Mustache.
to speak? I'm kicking them immediately. I'll let them speak next time. I'll let them speak next time.
Oh yeah, you have to first let them get it off their chest, and then you kick them.
Sorry, I was too ready to do it, man. That's my bad.
It must have been the mustache.
Oh, it was the mustache. That was why. I don't like mustaches. I actually don't. I don't understand why it's become such a thing now.
I want to go swimming.
What'd you say?
I said I feel like going swimming.
Nice.
Should I do it? Should I
If you
just
want to go swimming.
I
Hey,
might.
do you know Vant? Do you know who Vant is? Doge, is he somebody else? He won't come up and speak.
No, I do not know Vant. If he doesn't want to... Oh, hello, Vant.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? How are you doing?
I like
How are you?
fight for men.
Doing well. How do you feel about Jewish people?
Fight for women. Like it's nice to break
Yeah.
that fight. It's nice to watch them break for you.
That's a good response.
Sam
So
kicked me
you're
out
not
of the room.
anti-Semitic is what you're saying.
You hear a good voice on this app?
That's a good question. How do you feel about Israel?
It's a little bit of a rhetorical gotcha trap. Like, again, it's sort of like an attempt to make you.
Consistency.
No. Why didn't you just go back in? You'd already asked it once about that.
Because
Why didn't you use that the second time? Because you wanted to be like, oh, Samoa, I'm gonna make you sound gay. Like you just did it just now. Samoa, you have to sound gay now. You're attracted to men in this society, right? Like, it's sort of like, and again, it's not a strong. Maybe it's just, I don't know. It's definitely a bullshit move.
No, please, bro. Look, by you doing that, you're trying to sound like my moves, right? That's cool. You're gonna sound like Graham. Makes sense to back you. But the question is valid simply because that he made the claim that this is the case. Let's say this. Let's say that all flowers are red, right? And I ask a question that clearly does not have a red flower. It's a blue flower. How am I trying to trick him? How am I misrepresenting you? I'm not. I'm showing him that his argument does not follow up because it won't be able to apply in all cases, and therefore your argument is against.
That's true, because it is the same argument to Matt, and it was fair to ask it to Matt.
No, come on, Dewey.
But so you agree that it's a weird gray area. It's a weird gray area as to if the debate is whether or not it's quote unquote a straw man. But Samoa, you agree that it was fair to ask it about Matt, right?
Wait, the reason why we know it was fair to ask Matt is because I accepted the scenario that was offered with Matt and I addressed it head on. And he was uncomfortable. So, like you just said,
he should have been able to offer the argument still using Matt as Exhibit A, but he couldn't do it anymore, so what did he do?
Matt didn't make the claim. You made the Samoa. You made the claim that
brother.
Dewey. So this is what he doesn't understand. He made the you're not making it. You're not making this. We can say it. So Dewey, he made the claim. You made the claim that the society is what's it called? Society's attraction. So people are influenced by societal standards, right? So if you said about the age, if the society says that you would be attracted towards minors, therefore you'd be attracted towards minors. So I asked the question, okay, so society, so you see someone you saw attractive, right? And they're a minor, would you still be attracted?
Nathan is stupid.
Nathan
is stupid!
This is where he basically shot himself in the face, right? When he said that he was testing.
Damn, they finally kicked me. Thank God. Nathan is stupid. We got it out there.
What tells you that from my accent? You're not a white bloke that is half Scottish. What am I? I don't know, but you're...
Do you like the Rangers or the Celtics?
Let's Toronto then. Let's just indulge. And let's abuse Muslim women. Let's use and abuse Muslim women. And then the Muslim women...
Assalamu alaikum, my fellow Muslim women. How are you today? I love your red train.
Here, so do not mention them, please.
Oh, you don't tell me what the fuck them, bitch. I'm on their ass every fucking time, bitch. Anywho.
Assalamu alaikum, my fellow African American friends. How are you today? This is your friend comedian.
Wow. And then they always gotta have a fucking American flag in their bio.
What's wrong with the American flag? You don't like USA? Oh, she kicked me. I got kicked from jealous like 5 times today. Oh my gosh. These people are insane.
Yes, I'm sorry if I bring in with interruptions. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, okay now.
The thing is that Parliament to legislate those rules, not statutory laws, because the rules are something which is transient. The rules meant to be for dealing with transient issues, something like a transit, like a traffic.
But Tim, when the Bible is talking, whatever, because you don't read it, it's like that, and that's your own ignorance. It's like that, whatever. So you got the right to be stupid. But however, God told us about prophecies and things at the beginning. Like for example, John does a play which says that he came into his own did not know him. And he says, what is John talking about? John is referring back to Isaiah chapter 1. They continuously refer back to prophets and all kind of stuff. When God says that an ox knows his owner, a donkey even knows who feeds him. But Israel does not know me, so basically it's a play on words.
We're not disputing that there's references backwards, right? But we're not refuting that. Look, nobody's refuting the. Hold on a second.
But once again,
the point is that he is reading the scripture and he's pointing out to you something very interesting about that, and I think it's interesting to hear, right? Several that they ever found. And the very strange things that have come forward to me from people who were associated with the Sunburst Farm and with Brother Sunburst, the whole group. And a very unusual story of that is a number of them have sent me very interesting accounts of seeing this device. So that may be a story that explodes along the way here with all this, and I think it's very compelling because it would be very important to find out what it is that could take things down at a distance. And remember, the way you can imagine this is the FBI guys are going to Tesla and saying, look, basically, if somebody's sitting in Hawaii, they press a button and there's a craft flying over the UK and that thing goes down. It can take things down at a long distance. That's the device we're looking for. Now, it's interesting because the spin that came out was, hey, go in and find us information about the death ray that Tesla talked about publicly. But apparently, in John Trump's memory, and I have 12 hours of his final interviews, that's not what he says. What he says is they asked him about this Melchizedek device. He doesn't call it that.
The Melchizedek device that can take down shit from long distances with death rays.
And some of that happens through the author of Autobiography of a Yogi because he calls Brother Sunburst Melchizedek. Everyone, you're watching the Dark. Is that clear, everybody? You're watching the Dark Journalist show, and so obviously it's a loaded subject. And thank you, David, for the loaded question. We'll take one more.
Narges. Yo, Sam kicked me from that room. He wanted to keep you exclusive. That was fun yesterday reading that, wasn't it?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying once you capture Narges in a private room, you don't want somebody in there. You want Narges all to yourself.
Stop it now. Stop it.
You've got the best reading voice on. You've got the best voice on Clown House. People are just attracted to your voice. It's unbelievable.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Am I just but a voice? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying the voice probably matches the physical beauty. So, people know that you're just a real beauty on this app. There's very few true beauties on this app.
Stop it. Look at Ali laughing.
Why do you think Ali's here? He's not here because of Doge. He's here to listen to your voice.
Oh, come now. That it cannot be true.
It's true. I don't know. It's like it's whatever kind of accent you have going on is what makes it really, really. And plus, you're soft. You have like a soft voice. And then the way you pronunciate is like, I don't know. It's something with your tongue and your teeth and, your nasal cavity. It's how it's all put together that gets that sound effect that comes out of that little hole.
that fucking hole, the cause of all evil.
It's true. It's true. We should actually allow people to become mutes. You know how people go blind and deaf? We should actually allow people to sew up their lips and then have like a feeding tube slip, on the side of the mouth so you can feed yourself with some type of like organic paste. It's a great idea.
I agree more with you. I think freedom of speech is criminal for most human beings. And I'm saying this as a true Muslim. Freedom of speech is criminal to most human beings.
Life would be kind of boring though, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm live streaming myself on like 10 YouTubes right now, yeah.
When I die, I want the world to know. Freedom of speech is criminal to most human beings.
I mean, what's for most? Is that 51%? Because that would be most.
That would be about right.
So 49% though, their freedom of speech is not criminal.
Yeah, and even within the 49, you'd have some percentage just there to entertain because they continue to be part of the 51%. You want to leave some of them there for your entertainment.
Well, I'm gonna pin my YouTube link. If you have a second, click it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel attached to the Doge account.
Okay, Doge is doing really well today.
There's 133 videos up there. Very few subscribers, but I have, many, many YouTube accounts. But I wrote a poem today on Grok about subjectivity and objectivity because people can't stop using those two terms, object and subject, subject and object. And it's really annoying. It's like people trying to learn English.
Yeah, do read.
So this is the poem that Grok came up with. And I'm going to put this on YouTube as well in a short. So let me just get that queued up here real quick. It's pretty good. I mean, honestly, I think you could start a business just doing like Grok content creation. And because anyways, it's basically English education. But anyways, this is the poem. Here we go. In a world of truths and fleeting dreams, two forces clash, or so it seems. Subjectivity with heart's soft hue paints the world in a personal view. Objectivity stands, cold and stark, measuring life with a rigid mark. One feels the rain, its mournful song, the other counts drops all day long. People stumble blind to the line, mixing their truths with facts divine. My heart says this, one cries aloud, while another demands proof, not a cloud. Subjective eyes see love's warm glow. Objective minds demand to know. Why this spark? What's the cause, the root? Yet neither yields, each claims the truth. A poet weeps for a star's faint gleam. A scientist charts its spectral stream. Both are right, yet both are wrong when they deny the other's song. Oh, tangled hearts, can't you see both lenses shape reality? Subjective breathes, objective proves. Together they dance in life's great groove. But people cling to one or the other, shouting past their sister, their brother. To understand, embrace the two, the heart's soft whisper, the fact's clear view. It's good, isn't it? That's rock.
So good. So good. Damn, you're talented.
So, anyways, I have to get a little work done today and then head to the gym. What are you up to?
I have to go and take my parents out today. I've gone downtown for the jewelry exchange. Get a piece I finished with my dad. So I'm out and about today.
Nice.
Have a wonderful day, my dear George.
Okay, thanks. You too. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
is like real and true.
I mean, they have their beliefs about stuff, so it is a matter of.
Finna bust that motherfucker.
Wow.
Hey y'all, I was wondering if I could join the Solo Thuggin' Club. Is this a house or just a room?
Why do you keep following me in every room? You another one.
I ain't following no ghetto thug. I just thought I'd find out what this room's about. Ain't no fucking specifics here. I ain't give no shit about who you bees or who you's with.
You talk too much.
Yeah, that's comedy comedian. He got like 4 different pages, and then when he come in people's rooms, he on YouTube and shit. Like, no.
Man, that's a negative portrayal of what I'm trying to do here. How you gonna fucking frame me like that and not even give me an opportunity to introduce myself and tell you my story and who I be with? I'm just a solo thug. Stop muting me. I'm just a solo fucking. You motherfucking thuggin', you fucking with the wrong thug. Don't you stop muting me. I'm gonna keep on muting until you kick me from this room. I don't care how many times you think your big thumb is stronger than my thumb. My thumb is always gonna be stronger than your thumb. I'm thumbing here, solo thuggin'. I'm a thuggin'. Thumb. You can't keep thumbing me. I'll mute you till the sky goes down to the equator of the universe. And the moon come out and the darkness come out, and I'm still gonna keep going. You can't stop my thumb. My thumb is unstoppable. My thumb is powerful. My thumb is the best thumb on Clown House. My thumb is super strong. You can't stop my thumb. I'll keep thumbing you, solo thuggin'. My thumb is so powerful, you can't even stop my thumb. My thumb is the super thumb. My thumb is the best thumb. Your thumb ain't thumbing. I'm a solo thuggin'.
Now you a king. What you gonna do?
I'm a king of thumbing. You can't keep muting me because I'm solo thuggin'.
Bitch, I just dropped you. I can do anything I want. I can do all things through Christ. Strengthen me, bitch.
Because I was about to say, made him a mod.
I modded his ass. I just want to show how stupid this dumb ass nigga is. He ain't even pay attention. He too busy yapping his motherfucking mouth. Bitch ass nigga.
Down so quick. I'm sorry.
Hey, yo, I thought he was boom.
I thought he was. He too busy talking and looking at somebody else. Weird cockeyed bitch.
They clone Scott wrong. He's talking about just me. Probably just irritating.
Bro, I see in my message. I go on my messages. Like, you know when you
look at his blue face ass nigga.
Like, what the fuck? I think he's in a whole nother room with like 50.
I told y'all he was live on YouTube.
What that mean?
No, he posted that link.
Promote
He just got cussed out live on his YouTube.
Look his weak ass live.
Bro, this is not okay with people.
You ain't making no progress with this. Your ass got 17 subscribers. Talking about you going live out look, making all that weak ass noise for 17 subscribers. And only 2 of them in this watch. Everybody else sleep.
He came to the phone.
Bitch. Hold on, because I think we still being on his YouTube. Look, you bitch. What's up, you bitch? Shout out to my YouTube channel. Fuck yours, you bitch. Core dick. Oh, nigga. You ain't no comedian, bitch. You ain't even funny.
Whose dick was you sucking in that last video you sent us to me?
You busted, bitch. You sweet tart in the Buddha ass, nigga. Coming here gay out and shit. Trying to stream. Your streamers know you gay?
Hey, yo, that nigga goofy as shit on the screen. I just looked at that shit, man. That nigga look.
Alright, he's showing you his stream.
Yo, word up. Yo, you look like a 40-year-old virgin, man. You gotta go see.
Oh, look at him.
You know what? He cannot bring the energy down to this space.
I look kind of good. This man scared, but this man got a hat on like he was in the Navy. They got a Navy hat on.
I'm the stable man.
He laughing and shit. Why you laughing, bro? That shit funny. Your blue shirt.
I'm definitely looking at his shit.
Look at this.
Look at him laughing and shit. You got the dad t-shirt on and shit like that.
Okay. He giving old retirement, got a boat in the backyard. Just bored right now. He flying and shit.
That pussy said you're not joining the gangster club. Let go.
Look out up. He pointing at himself. Should we see your ugly ass on camera?
You this old and you be coming on Clubhouse screaming and shit like that. That's crazy as hell. You got gray in your beard and you come on Clubhouse screaming like that, bro. You dead ass.
You ain't the only one.
You dead ass, bro. You one of them dudes that we would think is young, but you really old as fuck behind the picture.
He like, yeah. That's me. Yeah. Make mayonnaise sound.
Mayonnaise sound. He's making a mayonnaise sound.
He just had a big ass mayonnaise sandwich before he came on this motherfucker. Mayonnaise, salt, pepper, and bread.
His phone delayed.
You never had a mayonnaise, pepper, and salt bread sandwich toasted?
He's making a mayonnaise sub.
They finally kicked me.
Result of some types of intelligence. Correct. But you're saying that, yeah. So you're
Longwood, you keep.
Please don't scroll. I'm just.
So stupid. So stupid.
I'm not a committee member. Can I come in and watch you? I'm John. It's not each other.
You're a reporter now, you're John?
Yeah, I am. I'm working for the news.
Which news are you?
Jefferson Park News.
Okay, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it's only committee members. Thank you for coming out. You can stay downstairs. You can have a drink. You can have pizza. It's going to be libations. And once over, you can have a joint on the app and buy you a drink. All right, cool. All right?
You think you're going to win tonight?
I feel cautiously optimistic.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for the news.
Happy to give you an interview for that later.
Okay, great.
I feel cautiously optimistic. If you're feeling optimistic, then why are you feeling cautious? It's not over yet.
She called you a peace settler. She didn't say who was her. She said no one was her. Max is that guy with the
I'm using a lot of profanity. What a poo-poo mouth I am.
Can't remember how the Quran came to be. What's that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, comedian.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Wait. 1 second, Dusty. So, how are you doing, comedian? How's it going?
I'm good. I just, how many have you kicked?
I know who you are.
Yeah, I'm the same guy who was here earlier. How many?
Yeah, you're Jewish.
I'm patrilineal. I'm a Patty, they call me. But anyways, I'm a cashew, half Catholic, half Jewish. But the point is,
Hi, Ed, man.
hi, Dr. General. So, how many have you kicked from the room?
Are you recording the room today? Like a dozen.
Please hold on, General. I'll answer that question in a second. You've kicked over a dozen anti-Semites today already?
Yeah, probably. Michael, you know that comedian, he records every.
Dr. General, please, I told you how to address your question in a minute. Please stop trying to dox me.
I'm not addressing you.
Stop trying to, Lashon Hara me, because if you're an anti-Semite, you're going to get kicked. Don't Lashon Hara. Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish, Dr. General? Hello? Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
Are you committing Lashon Hara?
No, I'm actually not.
This isn't gossip? You're gossiping about me. I'm a comedian. A comedian!
If you do anything about Lashon Hara and the exceptions to it, I am absolutely not partaking in any of it.
All right, since you know so much about Lashon Hara, let me ask you a question. What is worse, to speak Lashon Hara, or is it worse to listen to Lashon Hara? Which one is the worst of the Yetzer? They kicked me. He kicked me. Wait a second, anti-Semites get kicked? Why did he kick me? Why did he kick?
She's probably got thousands of men who would want to date her, right? Like, she's just freaking tripping the fuck out about her spiritual journey and all this stuff, right?
In a world of truths and fleeting dreams, two forces clash, or so it seems. Subjectivity with heart soft.
It's like, it's so transparent that what she's experiencing is a mental fucking breakdown, and she's so conditioned because of her Islamic past that she needs something spiritual, something organized. It's just the mind, dude. And there she goes. Oh, this became attracted to me in the truth all of a sudden, right? Complete and utter bullshit. So all it is a slice of psychology, dude, in her. And it shows you how powerful this shit is.
I watched her debate with Richard Dawkins. I mean, the reasons that she provided for becoming a Christian is changing.
Totally weak ass shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's being love. So Jesus is love. Jesus, I don't know what it is.
Heart soft hue, pains. In a world of truths and fleeting dreams, two forces clash, or so it seems. Subjectivity with heart soft hue paints the world in a personal view. Objectivity stands cold and stark, measuring life with a rigid mark. One feels the rain, its mournful song, the other counts drops all day long. People stumble blind to the line, mixing their truths with facts divine. My heart says this, one cries aloud, while another demands proof, not a cloud. Subjective eyes see love's warm glow. Objective minds demand to know why this spark, what's the cause, the root? Yet neither yields, each claims the truth. A poet weeps for a star's faint gleam. A scientist charts its spectral stream. Both are right, yet both are wrong when they deny the other's song. Oh, tangled heart. In a world of truths and fleeting dreams, to